evening, YouTube. It's 11:30, so it's still nighttime. Let's shut the beast off. What would a street sweeper be doing out coming through a mall at 11:30 at night? And what the f*** is he doing coming over here? We're about to find out. Fuck. And shit you not, guys, this guy just pulled up in the middle, right, this street sweeper guy just pulled up here. And now he just pulled up right in front of my truck. And now it looks like he's taking out, what the fuck, weird shit happens around here at midnight. Maybe they're contracted to keep the parking lots clean or something. Because he just fired up one of those leaf blower things. You hear it? What the fuck is going on in Columbia, South Carolina? Hey, how you doing? What the fuck? This guy's gonna blow dust all over my truck. Not to mention he's gonna fuck up my video, because all you're gonna do is hear this guy, and I'm waiting on the tire guy to get here. We can put this back. Okay, I'm gonna try to go back doing my video, and I'll just cross my fingers. I guess they got parking lot cleaning going on. I don't know. Here comes homeboy again, just blowing dust, just fucking all over the truck. It rained today. You're lucky, dude. I swear to gosh, this has never happened to me. Keep an eye on that guy, Zeus. All right. And of course, they're looking at me because they're like, why is this guy sitting in his truck and he's got all his inside lights on and shit and camera on the dash? Like, maybe this is how they distract you before they rob you or something. Fuck, I don't know. All right, guys, I'm sorry to get taken away. I just, you know, it was kind of weird. It literally looked like they were, I don't know. So I wanted to talk to you guys this evening. This is actually my second video today. I had done a video this morning about, you know, what's going on and taking care of business, having to stay out longer. And I had mentioned about negotiating rates. And I've never really done a video on it. So I figured, hey, why not? You know, let's go ahead and do that, because it is a, you know, it's something. When you go to Landstar, now this video is for Landstar guys, and as far as the topics that I'm going to hit and what's going on over here, I can't speak for negotiating rates at other companies because I don't work there. Now, to give you some background, my cousins who I used to live with down in Florida, they worked for a brokerage agency, and they're freight brokers still, and that's what they do. And I was, you know, the company that they worked for actually owned the trucking company that I worked for. And man, I would be in there during the day, and it's almost kind of like a scene out of Wolf of Wall Street. It was just all these guys and girls on phones, and they're just making phone calls, and they got 3 or 4 computer screens up, and they had a bell in there. Okay, they had a bell. When they would make over $1,000 on a load, they'd ring this bell, and I'd be in there, that bell be ringing all day. Okay, now these are brokers that pull loads from other bigger agencies and also have direct customers of their own. and then they broke. But they own no trucks other than this small fleet that they owned, which really was separate from the brokerage firm. So they would take loads from their customers or bigger agencies that they would get off their boards, and then give them, sell them out to drivers, basically. Put them on the board, drivers would call, they would make deals, and that's how they made their money. And they get a percentage of that. Okay? And it works the same way at Landstar, so I've been told. The brokers get a percentage, like we do, of the line haul, and that's their money that they make. Now, when you go to orientation, they tell you that you cannot negotiate rates. And I've read in the contract, there's nothing in the contract that says you can't negotiate your rates. And so there's no rules about it. I think it's so when you get out of the gate, your first load you're calling on, you're not like, hey, you got it on the board for $2 a mile, but I can't move for no less than $2.50 a mile. And now, it'd be a lot to deal with. I went like the first 4 or 5 months before I even really started, hey, yeah, I can move it. I can move it for this, but I'd really like to get this out of it, or can you help me out on the fuel or whatever, before I start negotiating rates. So I think that's kind of why they tell you that in orientation, is so that kind of takes some off of your plate. But yes, you can negotiate your rates at Landstar because you're the business owner and you're taking a load from a broker, and if you can get more money from them, why not? They're doing it to their customer. They'll put an offer in. So here's kind of how it works. At Landstar, you have direct brokers, which you'll have that little Y in the direct column, or you'll have an N in there for non-direct broker. So a direct broker is a Landstar broker. They work at Landstar, and they book freight, and typically they will have their own customers. Not always, but typically they have their own customers that they deal with, which is nice because they know that when they have the loads. Like if they say, hey, I have this load, it's their load, then it's nobody else is booking off it. If it's an indirect broker, they don't work for Landstar, say they work for another agency, okay? They work for their own agency, right? Separate from Landstar. And they're taking it, either they have it from their customer or they're taking it from a big board like C.H. Robinson or Trinity or something like that. And then they put it on Landstar's board, and then you call on it, right? I call those third-party loads because you have right? You have the broker that you're getting it from, and then they have the broker or the company or the customer that they're getting it from, okay? Sometimes they can be a cluster. Like the load I'm going to pick up tomorrow is actually a C.H. Robinson load. But the broker that I booked it from does not, they have like a packet, but they don't work directly for C.H. Robinson. I won't see there's a rate confirmation between C.H. Robinson and this broker. I won't see that rate con. Sometimes you will, but most of the times you won't. So my rate con is between me and that broker. So this is a third party load. Now, here's one thing you don't want to do, because it's not good for you, and you don't want to, you don't want them calling Landstar on you. Don't ever get in an arguing match with a broker. Sometimes you will ask them and say, hey, they don't work in dollars per mile. So when you call in and you want to negotiate your rate, and they have a load on the board for $1,000, and you'll move it for $1,000, because if you wouldn't willing to move it for what it's on the board, you shouldn't call on it. So set your bottom dollar that's on the board, because you know the percentages that you're going to get. If you're pulling a Landstar wagon, you're getting 65 and 100% of the accessorials in the fuel. And then if you have your own trailer, you're getting 72 plus 100 of the fuel and the accessorials. This is going to come into play. So call them in, and you say they work off dollar amounts. So they got it on the board for $1,000, and you'll move it for $1,000, but man, you'd really like to have $1,300. So you say, hey, I see you got it on the board for $1,000. I'm going into an area, there doesn't look to be a lot of freight in there. Can we get $1,200 out of it? It's just a question. Can we get $1,200 out of it? And they'll either say one or two things, or one or three things. Nope, this is all I have in it. I can't get any more. There's nothing I can do for you. You know, $1,000's all I got. Okay. At that point, you either take it or leave you, right? Or they'll say, okay, I'll put the offer in. Let me email my customer, and then they'll get back with you. Now, what you have to be careful for there is the load is still on the board. So they're emailing their customer. They'll email them right then and there. But if they don't get an answer back really quick, or they say, hey, I got to put you on hold, and somebody else calls and takes that load, well, you lost your $1,200. That does not happen a whole lot. Unless you're calling about the top tier load and it's already, if it's paying banging, okay, and you're calling trying to negotiate to get even more, you're kind of being greedy, your chance of you losing that load, somebody else calling it in and taking it's pretty high. So they say, okay, let me call my customer and see. Or they'll say, I can't do that, but I can do this for you. Let me help you out. Let me max your fuel. Let me give you X, Y, Z for accessorials. You know, I'll give you 100 for loading. I'll give you 100 for unloading. You know, I'll give you money for tolls. If it's hazmat, I'll give you hazmat cargo charge. You know, and all of these that they put on your accessorials, you get that 100%. So you can add those up, right? You can add those up. That you get 100% of. It takes it out of the line haul. And then the line haul you get 65% of. But the more money that you can get 100% of, the more it'll increase your rate to the truck. You see what I'm saying? So essentially, you could take a load that was on the board for $2.50 a mile, and if you can get them to max your fuel, I've had guys give me, this one broker gave me $500 one time in fuel, okay, in fuel on a 300-mile run. I don't even think it was that. I don't even think, how far was it? I don't even think it was that far. You'd have to do it. I don't remember off the top of my head. It came out of Hutchinson's, Kansas, to Wichita Falls. And he gave me $500 in fuel. I didn't burn $500 in fuel. I didn't burn probably $250 in fuel. Okay, but I got 100% of that $500 because that's what he was able to give me in fuel. And then I got extra so much for the line haul and everything else. So, accessorials is your best friend over here at Landstar. You know, you ask them, hey, help me out. You know, max me on fuel, which, you know, typically is like 45 cents a mile. You know, help me out with, you know, unloading charges, loading charges, whatever you can get to help me get some more money. If you can increase the line haul. And some can do it and some can't. But they will tell you. So, here comes the street sweeper guy again. So that's kind of how you go into it. You kind of ease your way in. You don't want to just be like, this load ain't paying enough. You know, you can either give me this or I'm not taking it. That's the wrong way to start off. You say, hey, I like it. I can move it. And then come up with an excuse. Like, hey, you know, fuel, you tell them either A, you know, fuel's crazy out here, man. What can you do for me on the fuel? The area I'm going to, I'm not going to have a lot of freight coming out of there. Can you help me out on the rate? Hey, it's 120 miles to deadhead up here to get it. Can you help me out with some fuel or some money to get up there? You know, and all this that you can work out, you have to work out before you commit to go get the load. So I will give you, because it's fresh on my mind because I just booked this load today. Okay, I just booked this load today. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm going up to Salisbury, North Carolina. Or am I? No, Salisbury, North Carolina. And I'm heading out to El Paso. There's not a lot of freight in El Paso, and the freight that there is pretty cheap. I got a broker that I've worked with a couple times out of there that can get me back into Fort Worth area. So that's why I'm not too worried about going back there. They got light loads. Typically they're preloaded and I get back to Fort Worth. So, and this will carry me through the weekend. It's a long holiday weekend. It'll carry me through the weekend. You know, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I deliver first thing Tuesday. So the revenue was good. I called her and I said, hey, I like what it's on the board for. You know, but man, it's 130 miles up there. I'm going to El Paso, okay, and I need to get a little bit more out of it to help cover the deadhead and to help cover some deadhead if I have to, if I have to venture out. When you start hearing alarms and shit, that's not a good thing. And you have to deadhead out of El Paso, to take the hit on the rates. And they know that. These brokers know where good freight and bad freight is. And they know deadhead. They know that we have expenses out here. So I said, hey, she said, well, what do you want per mile? And I said, or what are you trying to get out? And I said, well, if I can get another 10, 15 cents a mile, let's put an offer in for, you had it on the board for 44. Let me put it in for 46. Now, granted, I called on this load and it was already on the board for like $2.67 a mile, which $2.50 is my bottom dollar. I'd like to get 3, but $2.50 is my bottom dollar. So she said, okay, I'll put the offer in. I'll talk to my customer. I'll let you know. Now, this is a third-party deal. She's getting it from somebody else. I'm getting it from her. Keep an eye out, Zeus, man. What the frick is the tire guy, huh? So then she came back and she said, okay, the customer needs it picked up today. Well, unfortunately, there's no way that I can be there today. I have to deliver it tonight, and there's a crew coming in to offload this furniture in the morning. That's just how it is. I can't. And she said, well, they're willing to pay $5,000 if you can be there tonight. There's nothing I can do. So we let it be. She said, well, you're the first one I'll call if something comes up, if I can, get it from my customer. So about 3 or 4 hours went by. We were looking for something, and nothing was going farther west than freaking Ohio. 1-2 day run at the most, and then you're sitting for 2 days, and then to me that's just lost revenue because I'm not going home. We were unable to book a Colorado load, so we're stuck going down to El Paso, which is fine. Like I said, it's gonna pay good. So she comes back to me, right, and she says, okay, I talked to my customer, we got it to roll for tomorrow, but they don't want to pay any more than 4. Okay, so this tells you one of two things. A, they couldn't get it moved today. Why? Probably because it was later in the day. Okay, like I said, there's not a lot of freight in El Paso. I looked on the board this evening and it's not paying very well. So she couldn't get a truck today. Right now they need a truck, so it's kind of shifted into your corner. Here's the thing though. Because the ball has shifted into your corner doesn't mean that you should go back at them and be like, oh no, if you can't give me the $5,000 that you were going to get it for if it moved tonight, then, I can't move it. So this is what I did. I said, look, I can do this. I can go back to the original agreement that you had on the board for 44. I wanted to put in an offer for 200 more than that, but for 44, let's go back to that. I can do it for that. She said, okay. She said, well, let me talk to my customer. So she emails her customer and they come back and they said, okay, we'll do that. We need a truck. We want to get it locked in. We want to get it moved. And then, so I told her, I said, now that, I'm still missing out on that $600. I said, what can you do for you? She said, help me out. I told her, I said, help me out, please, here. And she goes, okay. She said, I talked to my boss. This is what I can do. I can break out 40 in fuel. Okay, I'll give you 150 for loading, 150 for unloading, and then I can shoot you 150 for tolls. So all that I will get 100% of. Okay, and then that will, drop the line haul down. But still, this money over here I'm going to get 100% of, and this I'll still get 65% of. Overall, it brought my rate up to where it was above, actually, okay, almost 20 cents, 19 cents more a mile just by getting those accessorials up versus what was on the board on the line haul if I would have just got 65% of that. So I actually came out pretty good on the deal, and we're booking it. So it's a give and take kind of thing. You see what I'm saying? Whereas you have to be careful how much you push, but you also don't want to get taken advantage of. And you got to remember that these brokers and these companies, these customers, they need us trucks out here to move their freight. Without us, the stuff is not getting down the road. So don't get taken advantage of, but don't try to take advantage of brokers either, because they remember that stuff. and they won't want to work with you in the past. You might get them by the short and curlies this time, but then next time you won't be their first call. So my going out statement on this is, look, you treat them with respect if they treat you with respect, right? I've had some brokers that have just been complete dicks, and the best thing to say is, okay, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking my phone call. I'm gonna work with somebody else. I'm gonna keep looking on the board, but I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you later. Click. That's it. Don't get screaming messages, because at the end of the day, nothing out here, unless it's gonna do you harm, is worth getting your blood pressure up. And there's always more freight on the board, especially right now. So do your looking, and don't be afraid to ask. So I appreciate you watching, guys. I hope this helps. For you new guys coming out, like I said, all you can do is ask, man. They tell you in orientation, what you're gonna get. This only works, though, guys, if you know your numbers. Remember, you got to know what the bottom dollar is on the load board, because you're getting 65% of that line haul. You have to know what it is per mile that you need to run for, because that'll tell you what you need to set your credentials for and your load alerts, and in your what is that, where you fill out the titles of what you'll move for. And then so you start off with the load that you're willing to move in the first place, and then work on making it better from there. God damn, that tow truck is hauling ass, dude. Guys, I appreciate you for watching. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good jazz, and we'll catch y'all in the next video.